Hello there. I'm back with another guided meditation today. And today I was thinking it might be interesting to focus on the subject of anger, and not just strong anger but also milder anger such as irritation and frustration. I'm feeling a bit of that right now. Maybe that's why I'm interested in focusing on that today. I am lucky enough to have 3 young adult children, a daughter who's 23 and 2 twin boys who are 21. And much as I love them very dearly, of course, being in lockdown confinement with them is challenging for me, just as it is challenging for them to be with me. Because I'm a lot older than them and have a very different lifestyle, quite different values, and some of the things that the way they're living I'm finding difficult to accept, and I'm feeling a bit irritated. So I thought I'm probably not the only one out there who's finding being confined with someone else challenging, whether it be your children, your partner, or anybody else you might be confined with, or even if it's that you're on your own and you might be finding that pretty challenging. And perhaps feelings of irritation, frustration, or even outright anger are coming up. So let's meditate a little bit on that today. And I brought with me my Tibetan bowl, and so I'm going to ring the bell 3 times with the bowl to start, and then at the end of the meditation, just to help us relax, I'm going to play the bowl a little bit, and I'll show you afterwards how I did that. So find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying if you want to. Close your eyes, relax your body, and let's start. So coming into our bodies, observing our breathing, coming into the present moment. Let's start today by looking at our breathing. There are 3 places where you might notice your breath: the tips of the nostrils, the chest, and the belly. And of course, if you have a blocked up nose, then your mouth as well. But if your nose isn't blocked up, I recommend that you shut your mouth if possible and breathe through your nose, as this enhances the sense of relaxation. So first let's look at our belly. Can you feel your belly slightly swelling as you breathe in, and then deflating again as you breathe out? without exaggerating the movement. Just see if you can feel this naturally occurring phenomenon. As you breathe in, the diaphragm presses down, and this causes the belly to feel a little bit as if it's being inflated. And then as you breathe out, it deflates again. And now let's bring our attention to the chest. Can you feel as you breathe in, the chest rising slightly, the ribs widening slightly, and then as you breathe out, the chest goes back down and the ribs close again. And maybe you can feel this in your upper back as well. Breathing in, the upper back and the chest fills with air. Breathing out, the air comes back out. Just observe that for several breaths. And now let's see if we can observe our breathing at the tip of our nostrils. Can you feel the cool air passing over the tip of the nostrils as you breathe in? And then slightly warmer air coming out again, passing across the tip of the nostrils. Just observe the air coming in and out of the nostrils. And now see if you can observe your breathing in all three places at the same time. The belly inflating slightly and then deflating. The chest rising slightly and then coming back down. And the air passing across the tips of the nostrils. Just take a few relaxed breaths and try to notice these three places at once. And now see if you can feel your whole body breathing at the same time. Maybe feeling your shoulders moving slightly as you breathe in and out. Maybe your thighs, your calves, a slight change in pressure in your feet against the ground, your hands, maybe your head moves slightly as you breathe. Try to feel the inner field of energy of your body as you breathe in and out. And your body is like a wave, lapping gently against the beach as the water laps gently against the sand as you breathe in and then recedes as you breathe out. Maybe visualize a beautiful crystal clear water of the Mediterranean Sea. Just the edge of the sea lapping gently against a beach of white, pure sand. And when we started meditating, our mind was like the water full of sand, all shaken up and turbulent, with lots of thoughts bumping against each other. But now that we've been meditating for a few minutes, the grains of sand, which are like our thoughts, have gently dropped to the bottom of the sea, and the water is crystal clear like our mind, calm and peaceful, transparent. The thoughts have settled at the bottom of the sea because we were focusing our attention single-pointedly on our breathing. And now we feel more relaxed. And perhaps during this period of lockdown, confinement with family members, perhaps your thoughts have been turbulent, like the sand in the water, all shaken up. Perhaps you've had a lot of thoughts and emotions too. And however much we love those people with whom we're confined, there may also be times during the day when we feel a sense of irritation, frustration, or even anger. Because however much we love those other people, we're all different. And sometimes cohabiting is challenging. We all have different needs and expectations and need to compromise. But sometimes the mind fights against that. Sometimes the ego tries to tell us that our needs are more important than those of others around us, that our opinions are right and others' opinions are wrong. And during this time when we're all having to stay together 24 hours a day, it's more difficult to get the space we need to bring our thoughts back and our emotions to calm down. But meditation is a wonderful way to help us do this. And if it's possible to have a room where you can go into, whether it's your bedroom, your study, or another room, where you can shut the door, sit down or lie down and just be. Concentrate on your breathing. Feel your body. Little by little, those turbulent thoughts and emotions, like the grains of sand, all shaken up in the sea, will gradually fall to the bottom. And just as the sea becomes crystal clear, transparent, the same is true of our minds. Whenever we take time to focus single-pointedly on one thing, such as our breath, this is mindfulness, focusing our mind. And it's very healing. And if we look a little bit at what is anger or irritation or frustration, it really always comes down to the same thing, which is not accepting what is actually happening in the present moment. Something is happening that we don't like, or something that we want to happen is not happening. Someone is doing something that we don't like, or we wish someone was doing something different that we would like. Anger, frustration and irritation are just emotions created by our mind which is refusing to accept what is actually happening. And it may be that something does need to change, but before we can change it, we first need to accept it. Because in any case, it is happening or it isn't happening. But we have to accept before we can change. So when my son sits and plays video games for 12 hours non-stop, of course it's normal as a mother for me to have doubts about whether this is a good way for him to spend his time, and to start to feel irritated when this has been going on for over a week. And of course, a good mother would try to suggest some other activities for her son. But if I'm all caught up in my anger and frustration and irritation, I'm not able to propose activities with an open mind. I'm not able to have a calm, caring conversation. I'm not able to understand why my son is behaving like that. So before I can get him to change, first I need to accept that this is what's happening now. And only when I've fully accepted it will I be able to have the clarity of mind and the wisdom and compassion in order to be able to approach the subject with my son with an open heart. If I've fully accepted what is happening, then I can speak to him with my heart and he can hear me with his heart, and maybe be able to hear what I'm saying without becoming defensive or aggressive. But if I myself have not resolved my own inner anger before communicating with him, he will feel that immediately and not want to open up to me. This is very challenging, and it's just one very small, quite unimportant example, but nevertheless something that has created quite a lot of anger and frustration in me in the last few days. And I'm sure that some of you have experienced much more difficult and more challenging situations. But I think the example can be extrapolated to any situation where something is happening that you don't like, or where what you would like is not happening. The other thing to remember is that we need to try to focus on the present moment. And I have spent quite a lot of the last 2 days being angry, even when I wasn't actually with my son or looking at what he was doing. This morning I was doing the gardening, but instead of enjoying the sunshine on my face and the feeling of the earth in my hands and looking at the flowers, I had trouble to be present. because part of my mind was imagining that he was sitting in the living room playing a video game. But I wasn't in the living room, and in the present moment I was in the garden. And what a shame to have missed part of that wonderful experience due to my anger and frustration. If we focus on what's really happening in the present moment in our lives, there are actually very few problems. Most of the problems are in the past or in the future. The present moment is probably not a problem if we look very carefully. Like right now, perhaps you're thinking about a problem that you have. But actually, right now, you do not have that problem. Unless you have a very sharp pain in a part of your body at this moment, probably the problem that you're thinking about does not actually exist in the now. If you have a bit of a problem with someone who you're confined with at the moment, that problem does not exist now. Right now, you are meditating. What a shame that we miss so much of our lives thinking about things that have happened in the past or that might happen in the future, instead of focusing on what actually is happening right now. This is mindfulness, and it is very healing and very calming. So I recommend that you try to do it as much as you can during the course of the day, particularly if you do have challenging people or challenging events happening in your life. So now for the last few minutes I'm just going to play my Tibetan bowl, and I think you will find the sound relaxing. And I suggest you just concentrate on your breathing as you listen to the sound. open your eyes if you want to. I hope you found the sound of the bowl relaxing. So if you had your eyes shut and you wondered how I made the sound, it's like this. You turn the baton round and around. The bowl vibrates. And it's very relaxing because the bowl vibrates at a certain frequency. And if you put water inside the bowl, it fizzes with effervescence. And this shows you that the vibrations of the bowl change the vibration of water. And our body is made up mostly of water. So in fact, the vibrations of the bowl change the vibration of the water inside our cells, in all the cells of our body, and particularly those which are most full of water, so our brain, our organs, our blood. And this is very relaxing and very healing. So I hope you found that meditation useful, and if you are having any challenging experiences with people at home at the moment, you have my sympathy. And I hope my son doesn't watch this meditation, otherwise he's going to know I've used him as an example. I think it's quite unlikely that he will. As I said, we don't really have the same interests in life, but of course I love him dearly. And I very much want to succeed in getting on with all three of my children during this time. So thinking about anger and frustration and irritation and what the source of it is, and that gives us ideas of how to react differently. So I hope you found that helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon for another meditation. In the meantime, have a lovely day or a lovely evening. Bye.